That is something you don't want to be bitten by. See me jump then? Yeah, I've been bitten by horsefly before. It was not pleasant. Welcome back to the channel, viewers, and we're on another motorcycle road test today. And strangely, we're continuing with our theme of Royal Enfield motorcycles. I'm just really into the brand at the moment, really enjoying experiencing what they have to offer. So the Himalayan is Royal Enfield's adventure bike. It's the bike that allows you to mix road and off-road surfaces, cover long distances, and really experience motorcycle touring in a big way. I've never ridden Himalayan before, so I was popping into the dealership to check on the status of my Meteor order, which sadly is still not arrived, and I asked for the opportunity to have a test ride on the Himalayan. It's also timely for me because we just did a tour of Snowdonia, and because the Meteor wasn't available, hadn't been delivered yet, I ended up doing it on a sports bike, and it really highlighted to me why different bikes for different uses. Yes, the sports bike was fantastic when we actually got there, but getting up to Snowdonia on a sports bike was a little bit backbreaking. But if you are interested in that, go and check out my video, which I'll put a link to, just showing how we got up to Snowdonia on the Triumph Daytona, and you'll see how the adventure progressed. But anyway, back to today. We're test riding the Himalayan, and we're going to consider it as a low entry point into adventure motorcycling. Something I've always been interested in, really like the freedom feel of biking, and I think going long distances, maybe two up, maybe with luggage, also something that is really appealing to me. So let's dive into the Himalayan itself. It's a duplex cradle style frame. There's a bash guard. The ground clearance is 200 millimeters, so you can get over obstacles and that kind of thing. You don't have to worry too much about damaging the bike. The bike itself is powered by a 411cc single, so in a way there's less to go wrong. The weight of the bike is not quite 200, 199 kgs, whereas if you compare something like the BMW GS 1250, you've got boxer engine, obviously it's got a lot more power, a lot more kit, a lot more price, but the thing does weigh another 20% heavier than this bike, or 25% actually heavier. It weighs 250 kg. So if you're a rider of smaller stature, maybe this bike could be better. Not only is it cheaper, but easy to handle, easy to maneuver, and considering if you're off-road, that's going to be a consideration. So I'm out on the bike today. I'm doing mainly road riding. I'm just going to see how it fares. So looking in front of me, I've got two very easy to see out of mirrors. I adjusted them before the ride. They're really easy to adjust actually. They swivel, there's loads of visibility, not like a horrible little sports bike mirror where you can just barely see out of. I've got a windscreen, or a flight shield, but generously you can call it a windscreen. That's really nice. Royal Enfield logo embossed into the plastic. And then we've got an instrumentation cluster, just showing speed in analog format, but also with the digital insert. You've got a trip meter, as well as the odometer, temperature gauge, and you've also got, moving across to the right, I've got a traditional analog rev gauge. You can see the bike revs from 0 up to 9,000 RPM in the red. I'm sat here at 5, quite comfortably in 4th. Just pop up to 5th, and the bike's just pottering along quite nicely. Drop down from approaching a 40 mph limit. Go through these up and coming bends. I've also got a fuel gauge, and we're up 3/4 of a tank here. The tank holds 3.3 imperial gallons. As I mentioned in my review of the Interceptor, go and check that out. As I mentioned in that review, Royal Enfield likes to quote in imperial gallons, which I think is a nice touch to the company's focus on heritage, being the world's oldest continual manufacturer of motorbikes. So how far can you go on a tank? Economy is quoted at 3.18 litres per 100 kilometres. And I'll put it up on the screen what that is in old money. So the little single cylinder puts out 24.3 bhp. Obviously it's not mind-blowing, not a sports bike, but it does the job. It gets you where you need to be. The vibrations from the engine aren't too severe. If you are touring, you'll have the ability to load this bike up with luggage. There is a mount for a top box at the rear of the vehicle. You can get Royal Enfield genuine accessory panniers for the bike. You can also get, it looks like you've got the frame here to secure more luggage at the front if you're going for real long distance riding. So we're just going to come into the lovely town of Upton, just to demonstrate how this bike is in an urban environment. The riding position, as you'd imagine, is extremely comfortable. I'm really enjoying being out on the bike today. Okay, so I'll take this opportunity to stop, put both feet down. I'm 5'11", very easy for me to flat foot this bike, and obviously if you were in an off-road situation, then you'd want to get a good foot onto the gravel or the rock or soft terrain, whatever you're on. So the bike really is set up for that. You've got 800mm seat height, so even if you are a shorter rider, you'll easily be able to handle this bike. So it's really doing what it's designed to do. Okay, just through the floodgates that protect Upton from flooding. One thing I always comment on my videos is when you're riding different styles of motorcycle, you really get into the zone of how you should ride that bike. On a sports bike, the machine, everything about it wants to be revved, wants to go fast, which, to be honest, is kind of inherently dangerous, and sports bikes are in I would say, a sector of their own in terms of an adrenaline sport. When we consider something within the class of adventuring, touring, cruising, then these bikes encourage you to ride them as that kind of machine. Right, okay, so unexpectedly we've come across a little lane which I can explore the bike's off-road or green laning capability. Let's give it a go. So I'm going to pull off in first and just use the bike's torquey engine for the size, just to chug along this little track. Obviously I've got some bumps, but yeah, it's great. Suspension's nice and soft, the bike makes you feel stable and secure. And I'll come back out the other side to smooth tarmac again. But that was really enjoyable. I can imagine doing that for a longer stretch and really finding the bike rewarding to ride on. So what we'll do now is we'll take the opportunity just to park up and do a walk around of the bike. It is a little bit difficult to get it into neutral, but then that could just be me. No, I go up through neutral, you see. Yeah, I found it. Okay, right team, so we're going to do the walk around of the Royal Enfield Himalayan. So if I can start from the back of the bike, we've got the top box frame mount, so you can see it's an extension of the tubular frame that the chassis is constructed of. We've got these very functional utilitarian looking indicators. Looks like you've got an LED cluster for the rear light. And then obviously you've got the tail tidy. This bike will comply, or will have to comply, with Euro 5 regulations. Moving down the bike, you've got separate pillion and rider seat. This bike is perfectly set up for touring with or without a pillion. You'll be able to attach panniers, as I mentioned before, from the back of the bike. Looks like these frame guards, probably dual purpose, protect the bike in a spill, but also allow you to fit additional luggage if you're going for real long distance. Coming round, let's have a little bit of a closer look at the engine and exhaust. We've got that 411cc single cylinder engine, putting out 24.3 bhp and I think 36 Newton meters of torque. Here we've got a little bit of detail with the Royal Enfield logo around the engine casing. Do notice that they don't go for as much of the retro badging and feeling with all of the little details on the Himalayan. It's much more utilitarian and useful rather than nostalgic, which is the case of the Meteor and the Interceptor. Those are bikes that are set to evoke a feeling in the rider, whereas this one is really to allow you to perform a function. Whilst you're performing the function, you may see wonderful mountains and rivers and explore new continents, but bike itself is set up to enable you to do that rather than the way the bike looks invoking a certain feeling. Okay, so you've got the single exit exhaust, as you'd imagine, and the silencer there has got a heat protector but also a bash guard down here. And looking underneath the bike, we can see we've got the centre stand as well to enable you to do maintenance on the roads. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the paint options on these bikes. I believe the options are Mirage Silver, which is this bike, and you've got the tank, the front fender and the rear fender colour coded. Let's come around just to get a different aspect here. The other colours are granite black, you've got rock red, got lake blue and pine green, which I think is a camouflaged effect. That's really, really nice actually. I think Mirage Silver is £4,599. That's the base price for the bike before you add optional extras. And if we were to choose lake blue, rock red or granite black, I think it's granite black, you would then be paying £4,699 for the bike. But consider a BMW GS, you're looking at 16, 17 grand, I don't know what they are now, but it's a different order of magnitude. Obviously you get much more kit, you get much more performance, but to get out there and adventure on a bike, this is amazing value for money. Okay, so I've talked a little bit about the colour options. Let's come back around to the front of the bike. You've got a single 300mm disc up front, obviously with 24.3 bhp. You don't need massive stopping power, dual piston caliper gripping onto that disc. At the back you've got a single 240 disc, which is perfectly adequate for stopping. Come around to the front, as I mentioned earlier, we've got right way up forks, large single headlight with the windscreen, and you've got these utilitarian, quite basic looking, to be frank, indicators. Okay, so let's move around a little bit more at the side of the bike. The engine is air and oil cooled. See, that's your oil cooler there, and obviously the fins on the head, fin stack, that's cooling using airflow. Okay, I'll come round to the rider's position, and we can see that, yeah, we've got the analog speedo, fuel gauge here, various warning lights, your rev counter, and then we've got a new addition, which is the Royal Enfield Tripper navigator system. This actually comes as spec on the Meteor as well. I'm really keen to try it out on the Meteor just to see how easy it is to use. So you actually connect this to an app, and then using Google Maps, that's then just replicated using directional arrows in an oversimplified format on the Tripper. So I'm looking forward to testing the Tripper out on my Meteor actually and getting a good view on how that works. Okay, obviously you've got upright riding position, upright handlebars. We can see here very standard control section, indicators, main beam, dip beam. You've got the flasher, horn here, and then standard controls on the other side as well, ignition, hazard warning and engine kill switch. Yeah, okay, so let's have a look. Yeah, that's the bike. Oh, there's a horsefly there as well. That is something you don't want to be bitten by. See me jump then? Yeah, I've been bitten by a horsefly before, it was not pleasant. So we're back on the bike, and I can really see myself riding long distances on this little thing. You do have to go up and down through the gears quite a bit though. It's still a small capacity engine. Well, I'm really enjoying being on the Royal Enfield. Like everything that they've put out recently, it feels quality. It feels well made. It feels like it could go real long distances. And at the price point that you're looking at for this bike, I mean, under 5,000, the sub £5,000 bracket, look how much fun you could have. So yeah guys, it's super enjoyable being perched up on this thing. And yeah, I can't actually help but recommend this bike. Well, now that brings me to my question about whether you go for this one or the Interceptor or the Meteor. I think they all perform different tasks. So obviously if you're going to go long distances and you're going to include a little bit of off-road riding, then the Himalayan just wins hands down. And if you want to cruise, you've got a lot of city journeys, you know, popping to a cool coffee shop in town, then the Meteor, you know, it just looks really, really cool, and all the finishing touches they've done to the bike are amazing. I guess if you want to go long distances but more on the road, then the Interceptor is the bike for you. It's got a little bit more power. I think we're at 47 brake horsepower from the 646cc twin, and that bike also is a comfortable bike for a single or tour to go long distances. It's superb. Yeah, so it depends what you want the bike for. Let's open the bike up a bit when I get on the straight, and we'll just look at this performance of the motor. It's not a bike for going fast on, but I think that's a great thing. You know, you shouldn't have a bike and try and fit it into a slot that it's not designed for. So I'm going down a road, I don't know where I'm going, and this really is what this bike is made for. I'm exploring. It might be my local area, yes, but I'm exploring new roads on a Royal Enfield Himalayan, and isn't that just what a bike's about? Oh, slow down for this little old lady collecting eggs. So I think this bike can be used to ride around the countryside, but it would encourage you to do more touring riding. It would sort of ache really to be taken longer distances. But what a gem! What a gem! And I admit I haven't ridden a BMW GS or a Honda Africa Twin, and I'll try and get the opportunity to ride those bikes. But the economy for what you get, the price for the experience, the Himalayan is going to be so hard to beat. As I get a little bit older, I'm more enjoying the slower pace of motorcycling. Obviously I started off with a Ninja 650 and then wanted to get more power, better handling. But then you soon realise that there's a whole world of bikes out there wanting to be explored. And man, isn't this bike just great? Look at this environment as well. I'm riding down a wonderfully green lane in rural Worcestershire with the Malvern Hills in the background. Okay guys, so we're going to approach a drop down to first. First is really on this bike a pulling off gear. And very, very slow manoeuvring. Right, let's use this faster road to test the bike's performance out. So, first, second, oh, that was into the red, third, fourth, and we're now at 60 miles an hour. For those other viewers who want to see faster riding, I'll pull a little bit more. Wind resistance is picking up at this speed, but it's not horrible. The fly screen does a lot to protect you. Let's slow right down now. We're entering a built-up area. Okay, so we'll pull away in first. You soon run out of first gear. Second seems to be a gear you can do a lot in. I won't accelerate too much because I'm still in a 30. Third is a nice usable gear for a range of speeds. And I'd say fourth and then fifth is your cruising at high speeds gear. Okay, I'll give you the basic overview of the Royal Enfield Himalayan. This is our quick stats section. The bike weighs 199 kg. That's about a 20% weight saving compared to a BMW GS, for example. It's powered by a 411cc single cylinder engine. Output is 24.3 bhp. The seat height is 800mm, making it very easy to flat foot the bike. It will also be manoeuvrable on rough terrain because you can put both feet down quite easily. Ground clearance on the bike is 200mm, so you can overcome obstacles. We've got spoke design wheels with sort of cross-country tyres, I would say. And up front we've got raised handlebars, comfortable riding position, and a very user-friendly and useful instrument cluster with analog speedo, and also you've got analog rev counter, fuel gauge, and you've also got the Royal Enfield Tripper navigation system. Really, really useful. Pricing, well, the bike starts at £4,599. I think that allows you to get the Mirage Silver or Gravel Grey versions. If you want to pay a little bit more, you can get different colour schemes like Rock Red, Lake Blue, Pine Green and Granite Black. Those ones are priced at £4,699, so still sub 5k, but it's a great price point for the ability to adventure. Wonderful riding. Wonderful riding. I love this thing. It's really, really good. And I've got to grips with it straight away. You know, never ridden an adventure bike before. Get on a Royal Enfield Himalayan and you feel fantastic. You know, how good is that? A bit like the other Royal Enfield bikes. You know, when I test drove the ZX-10R, one, I was nervous because of the power output of the thing. I had to find where my feet were, you know, lift my knees up and then lift them up again. Controls, there was an infotainment system practically on the screen. Couldn't work out what anything did. And this kind of accessible riding, I just think it's the future. So yeah, it's great. So really, really nice bike. Really, really happy. And I'm pleased for Royal Enfield. I'm pleased for everyone who owns one of these bikes. And here's the view you've all been waiting for. This is the Malvern Hills, Malvern Green. Really, really nice road just to cruise down. Try and get that in the right place. So guys, at this point I'd like to say thanks for watching the video. If you enjoy the content we put out, then please do give us a like. Comment below if you've got any questions, I'll try my best to answer them. And then give us a subscribe, you know, join Bikes and Bits, and stay updated for the latest videos we're going to put out, and try and do some more motorbike test rides and give you my honest opinion on these bikes. So, that's all from me guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, ride safe.